Morning. It's Brother Anthony here, the Broad Street Church of Christ and Grand Risings to my brothers and my sisters. I come to you now with another Friday Focus moment. As you have seen, we have witnessed a couple of days ago the assault on the United States Capitol. As we have been discussing at Broad Street in our Wednesday night Bible study, is that the enemy or the problem that you have is not another human, it's not another person. You see, we all are created in the image of God. I want us to understand that our problem that we have, that we're witnesses in the world, is this unseen being called Satan. You see, Satan finds the weakest people. Satan finds the weak spot in people, that he attacks them. And if you're not spiritual enough, you'll think that the problem that you have is with somebody else and not with the devil. I stopped by here this morning to let us all know that we need to learn how to be servants. We need to be slaves. 1 Peter chapter 5, the Bible says, likewise ye younger, in verse number 5, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yes, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. Brother Anthony, what does it mean to be clothed with humility? It means to wear the apron of a slave. Remember, God created us in his own image. And one of the things that he manifested while we're in his image is that we learn how to love one another. You see, true humility before the Lord merely means assuming the place of a slave. And now, let me drop this on you. Somebody say, well, I'm not going to be a slave. Well, you are a slave. You are a slave to the devil, or you're a slave to Christ. You see, in Luke 16 and verse number 13, Jesus said it just like this. No man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and he will despise the other, or he'll be loyal to one and he'll despise the other. But Jesus makes it plain. You're a slave. Either you're going to be a slave for him, or you're going to be a servant slave for the devil. And the things that we're seeing is that many people have decided that they want to be a slave for the devil and not for the Lord. Because once you're a slave for the Lord, you try to bring peace, you try to bring love, you try to bring humility to the people that's around you. There's a story that is told of a woman that tried to hang on to a man. And while many people don't want to hear the story, I'm going to tell it anyway. The story is told that the man tried to leave the woman. He tried to run. He tried to hide. He tried to get away from her. The problem is he couldn't. Because no matter what he ran to, she chased him. And the man stopped and asked, why are you chasing me? Why won't you just let me go? And the woman says, she says, I desire to have you. In other words, Satan is just like that woman chasing that man. He desires to have you. He desires to have you as one of his slave servants. You know, the man could have said, I'm running away because I have to. I'm running away because I don't want to be in your environment. I'm running away because I don't want to be your captive. I'm running away because I don't want to be your slave. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we need to learn how to run away from Satan because we don't want to be his slave. You say, God called us a slave because we had the ability to change the world. What do you mean, Brother Anthony, by being a slave and having the ability to change the world? You see, once you're a slave, you're not responsible for how things turn out. Your job is to follow the plan of the master. And if you follow the plan of the master should have a plan so designed that if you follow the plan perfectly, that the results will be astronomical, not just for the master, but for the slave too. And the problem that we have in the world is a lot of us, we become slaves and we start out following the plan of the master. But before you know it, we done went our own way trying to create our alternate plans. And that's when things blow up on us. You see, when you become a slave, you become more than just your little puny self. What do you mean, Brother Anthony? You see, once you become a slave, you carry the master's reputation. Hello, somebody. You no longer belong to yourself. You belong to your master. Another thing is, once you become a slave, you receive the master's protection. See, we're too busy worried about what people are doing. We're too busy worried about what people are not doing. But we're too little focused on what we are doing for the master. Don't you know that we have the ability to change the world? God used 12 slaves. He called them apostles. And he commissioned them to go into all the world and preach the gospel. See, God had a plan. He said, you 12, you follow my plan, and we're going to turn this world upside down. The reason the world is upside down right now is because too many of us that were created in the image of the master have fallen away from the master's plan. You see, when you become a slave, it's your responsibility to work on the master's plan. Let me tell you something that I didn't know, but a research helped me. Is that a lot of people go deep sea fishing and they try to catch sharks. Well, Brother Anthony, what are you trying to tell us about the catching sharks? Well, let me tell you. They go catch baby sharks so they can bring them back into these aquariums, like in the Georgia aquarium. And you say, well, why would a man go catch a shark and bring them back to the aquarium? What I didn't know that I discovered upon research is that sharks will only stay the size and the environment for which it's in. Wait a minute, you're missing a shout. In other words, when you take a shark from its natural environment and you put it in a different environment, it no longer grows to be the size in which it was designed to grow. What are you saying, Brother Anthony? You see, a shark is designed to be 3, 4, 5-ton creatures in the environment which God created it. But once it became captive and placed in the aquarium, it can only grow half the size for which it was intended. What's the message for us? God created us in his own image. He created us to be his slave. And once we become a slave for God, we can grow to be the creatures that God designed us to be. The problem is, we allow ourselves to become enslaved to Satan. And once we become enslaved to Satan, we're no longer allowed to be the size, the force, the people that God created us to be. Why? Because we have been taken from our environment of growth and placed into an environment that contaminates and stunts our growth. Is that all right? I'm trying to help us this morning. You see, once you become a slave for Christ, people are going to love you for it, whether they want to or not. What are you saying? You see, God's slaves serve other people. Just the other day on Facebook, I had a friend that tells me, he says, if you voted Democrat, you are the devil, and I don't have nothing else to do with you. And my response as God's slave to him is that I'm going to love you anyway. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. You see, if the devil's agents hate you, that's their problem. But God's agents, God's servants, God's slaves, we're supposed to love people regardless of what they do to us. What do you mean? What are you talking about, Brother Anthony? You see, we love God because he first loved us. The Bible tells us that God is love. And if we are to be the people of God, we're to be a people of love too. As I get ready to close out this morning, I want to tell you about this street called Beautiful. It's over there in Indonesia. They named the street Beautiful. But the problem is, it's the ugliest street that they got. It's filled with potholes. It needs to be repaved. Every 15, 20 meters or so, there's a hole in the street. And if you take a picture of it, all you'll see a hole in the street that needs to be repaired, that does damage to any vehicle that rides on it. The problem is, the street didn't turn out the way that the planners planned it. They didn't plan to build a street that would have a lot of potholes in it. They didn't plan to build a street called Beautiful that would turn out ugly. And I ask you a question. When God made you, did he not make you beautiful? And if God made you beautiful, why are you turning out ugly? This is Brother Anthony of the Broad Street Church of Christ, saying that we love you and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it.